Okay, good morning. Am I audible? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for acknowledging. Okay, so in the last session, we have actually started up in our discussion related to the manual implementation of the lexical analyzer. So, in which we have seen the manual implementation is not, it's simply nothing but the replica of the tracing of the transition diagrams for the underlying specifications of the language here. So, today, again, we'll see some more specific, I mean, very frequent specifications of the language, and we'll try to construct or the lexical analyzer for the same. I mean, for the same underlying specifications here. So once we'll cover this much part, and then we'll also try to understand that what exactly are the flags that we need to remember while designing or developing this lexical analyzer through this manual implementation of transition diagrams here. So let's take this roadmap ahead. So this was where we stopped last time. I mean, this was the specification given to us. I mean, with respect to the relational operators, that is greater than and greater than equal to, and we just came up with this transition diagram notation here, and which exactly means the definition of this other alphabet is any other alphabet apart from this assignment. Oh, sorry, this equal to sign. Fine. And assuming that we don't have any other thing in the specification, so that's why the greater than equal to, we have simply returned this as lexeme that is greater than equal to. We do not need to read more, considering there is nothing more in our specifications here. But here it is going to coincide. So that's where we have to consider this flag that the lexeme which we have just read and that has taken I mean that has taken to this final state too, that should not be a part of your this so-called lexeme. That should be thrown back to the input buffer. So this exactly what does it mean here. So this is what we discussed in the last session corresponding to how to write the implementation of these few specifications here. Let us take a few more examples with correspondingly to the some of the more language specification. So this time we have these category of the relational operators. So one is less than, another is less than equal to, this is not equal to, again equal to, this is greater than and greater than equal to. And the goal is to design a one lexical analyzer that should return these pairs and to the respective phases. And obviously the manual implementation through the transition diagrams. So this is what we have to do, I mean, one by one. So we have these specifications available with us. So, I mean, obviously, let's say we are starting with this less than symbol. So from state 0 to state 1, we are reading this symbol that is less than here. Now, immediately we cannot say that return this particular thing as a relational operator, because there are certain things which are more in our specification, like this equal to sign. Fine. So that is why we came here and we said, let us read equal to from state 1 to state 3, and assuming that we do not have more thing in our specification, and now we can say that we should return this token relob, and that is lexeme is less than equal to. Now, the definition of other here is, I mean, as per whatever we have seen, is any character apart from this equal to sign, right? And if it is so, then I'll say, oh, I mean, this implementation has identified the word boundary, and it'll say, whatever I have consumed by the state 2 from state 1 to state 2, let me throw back to the input stream and return again the same class of the token relational operator, and the lexeme is less than. Yeah. Similarly for this as well here. So I mean the greater than symbol, and again I'm saying the return this token with this particular thing. And again, we don't have any other thing in the specification. So that's why we do not need to consider the other thing here. Now the definition of the other, as soon as this entry has been done, it gets changed here. So any symbol apart from this equal to sign and greater than is now the definition of the other here. Fine. Similarly for others, equal to, so we start with again with the starting state, and we just came back to this fifth state here. Similarly for greater than and greater than equal to, which we have seen earlier as well. So this is the way, greater than equal to and greater than. So the definition of this other is any other symbol apart from this equal to sign. So this is one generalized, I must say generalized transition diagram, which is capturing all these specifications with respect to the relational operators. And this is what which we have seen in the recent session as well. The exact code for such things is nothing but corresponding to this particular transition diagram and with respect to the states here. Fine, guys. Any point? Yes.
Sir, here we have two others in the transition diagram. So do we need to explicitly state that this other means the lower other means anything other than equal?
Right. Exactly. So that is the thing we have to do. One way is this. I'll shortly tell you what is the other way to get rid of these things. So other way is that come up with the separate transition diagrams. So I'll say I'll construct a separate transition diagram for less than. I'll construct a separate transition diagram for less than equal to, and this way I can do my implementation. But here the definitions are different here, and in that case the definitions may get differ corresponding to, but each and every transition diagram is different here. Fine.
Okay, sir.
If this thing is not clear yet, so this thing will get clear very shortly when we'll actually talk about some other things with respect to the issues in the implementation of the transition diagrams. Any other thing apart from whatever we have discussed related to the tokenization? Fine. So let us summarize few things, and then we'll take few more language specifications, and we'll see the actual implementation of that. Yeah, so this is one another language specification which you will find in most of the relevant state of art. So I request all of you to please spend few seconds on this particular specification. So it says design the regular X definition and the transition diagram notation for hexadecimal and octal constants. And it is giving you certain customizations also, that consider the hex notation for your compiler must start with this symbol, that is 0x or this 0 uppercase letter X. I mean, usually in the unsigned terminology, this is the representation of the hexadecimal constant. So if I'll say this is a hexadecimal constant, I need to write in a C language. So better I should start with this prefix, either 0x or this 0x in uppercase. Whereas on the other hand, the octal notation should start with the 0, simple. And that 0 should not correspond to the actual integer constant which can be obtained from the octal number. This 0 is just considered as a prefix, as an identification for an octal constants here. And in addition to that, these are also saying just include certain qualifiers also, whether these octal constants or hexadecimal constant are unsigned or it is a long here, or simply null also if you do not need to mention their types as a suffix here. Fine. So in addition, both the notations may or may not include the qualifier, whether it is unsigned. So they have given you the symbols, this uppercase, this lowercase letter u and the uppercase letter, and simply for the long as well. Or you can even skip the qualifier as well. I mean, it cannot be long, it cannot be unsigned. Let it be anything as in suffix. So first part, we have to construct, let's say, the specifications, I mean, which has been given to us in an informal way, right? So we all know how to construct that. So for hexadecimal and the octal constants, one by one. So I need certain digits with respect to the hexadecimal, 0 to 9 and A to F. For octal constants, I need 0 to 7. So like this, we'll proceed like this. And after that, we'll follow these specifications, which has been given to us informally. So this is the thing which I was talking about. So we have this regular expression that is 0 union 1 union 2 up to union 9. And similarly, I can take up to F here for hexadecimal digits. And I have given a unique name to this guy, that is hex. Now from here onwards, whenever I need these digits, I'll always use this guy. Fine. Similarly, for octal, we have the numbers available with us from 0 to 7. So I can pick any of these digits by using this unique name, that is oct. Fine. Now I have to refer the specifications which have been given to us. So as it has been indicated clearly that the hexadecimal constants needs to start with this symbol here, that is 0x or 0x. After that, there could be any number of hex digits. Fine, this is the exact specifications which has been given to us. So let me define the qualifier symbol also, which has been given to in the specification as well. I mean, which has to be appended in the last as in suffix. So it can be unsigned, represented by these two symbols, either in a lowercase format or in an uppercase. Similarly, the long format. And even I can skip the qualifier. So for that, I have the capability to introduce the epsilon symbol, right? And now we have the octal constant, which specification states that it has to by default start with the 0. And after that, it can take any number of octal digits, which we have represented by this unique name, that is oct. And we introduce the positive closure sign. So this part is done up to this point, and after that we have to introduce the qualifier, whether my octal constant is unsigned or it is long. So that could be dictated by the qualifier symbol. Or even I cannot introduce the qualifier, so for that I'll go for the epsilon part here. Fine. And for the hexadecimal constant, I mean, which we have given the unique name, just like the octal constant. So it has to start with the 0x. But x can take either in lowercase or in uppercase format. And after that, we have any number of hexadecimal digits, that is hex and positive closure, any random combination of these guys. And obviously the same thing which we did here for the octal constant, that is the qualifier or the epsilon symbol here. Fine, guys. So this is how we have represented our informal specification using the concept of the regular definition here. I think this is clear. No question up to this point.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can't we use two qualifiers for a number, like unsigned also and long also?
I mean, two long qualifiers. What do you mean by this thing?
So, like, for example, I'm writing an octal constants like 0, 1, 2, 3, and then capital U, capital L.
Right. We can. So, I mean, this is just optional part. This is what you are saying?
Yes, sir. So like
so
here
explicitly you need to mention the U or L, right? This is what you are saying.
Yes, sir. Like basically,
We can.
there will be two options. Like,
We can.
okay, sir.
So it's just the notion of that we are using the, this regular definition part. We can replace this guy with U, L, and epsilon as well.
Okay, sir.
Fine. Any other? Okay. So let's see now its actual implementation here, which we have to just notate with the transition diagram notation here. So just remember the specifications which we have right now. So, this is the thing which we have just constructed. So what should be the first step in the, transition diagram notation? It is very clear. I have to start with, let's say, state number third, and I have mentioned this state number third just because we have already constructed the implementation for identifiers and the keywords. So there we stopped at state number 2 here. This is what we have to do always in both octal and as well as the the hexadecimal constant. I have to read the 0 and that has taken me from state third to state number 4 here. This is the action which I have done here. Just read the 0. Fine. What should be the next step? It's in front of you guys. For simultaneously with respect to the hexadecimal and the octal constants. So for the octal part is very clear that I have to read at least one octal digit, and that has taken me state from 4 to 9. And after that, I can read any number of octal digits in any order. Fine. However, for the hexadecimal constants, the next character should be either this lowercase letter x or this uppercase letter x. And after that, it has to read the first hex digit. And after that, any number of hexadecimal digits. By this notation, we are using these notations. Fine, students, up to this point. Now, what should be done next? What should be the next step? Because now I have to tokenize, right? So let's talk with respect to first octal constants. What should be my next step? What should be my next transition? Come on, guys. You should not take too much time on such questions. Everything is written in front of you. The specifications are here, right?
If we get a qualifier, we can go to final state.
It will read the qualifier and that will take to some state, and we'll call that as a final state. And what action we need to perform here? That we'll return the token, let's say hexadecimal constant, and the corresponding lexeme here. Is there anything apart from this? Is there only one action which has to come out from the state 9 or any other action? Because we said that, yes.
Epsilon, how to deal with it?
Yes, so we have to deal with the epsilon as well in that case. So here, what exactly is the terminology? I have just introduced for, let's say, hexadecimal constant. So like the guy said first, that obviously from here, I'll read one qualifier that will take me from state 6 to some other state 8, and I'll call it as a final state, and I'll simply return, let's say, the integer constant, the actual value which we are obtaining from the hexadecimal constant. Let's suppose this is the name of the token and the corresponding lexeme. But it is quite possible I have completely skipped the qualifier as per the specification for epsilon, and I am reading any other symbol apart from this qualifier. So the definition of other here is any symbol apart from this qualifier symbol. Fine. And which will take me to another except state, and I'll introduce this particular flag which indicates that the lexeme which has brought me from state 6 to 7, I should not consume it as my current lexeme here, and I should return the hexadecimal constant in integer format. Similar process I have to do for the octal constant here. So this is what we has taken after reading any number of octal digits. This is the qualifier, and there is no need to read anything extra, assuming that we do not have anything on our specification which is completely conflicting with our specification. So we are returning this token and the corresponding lexeme. Otherwise, we can read some other characters, and that this definition of other is again similar to this definition. Fine, anything except this qualifier symbol. So in that case, I also return to the same token with the corresponding lexeme here. Fine, students, any comment up to this point?
So can we use the same final states for both hex and oct?
Both final for hex and oct, but somehow this is going to overlap with this guy, right? Because the representation is different here. So hexadecimal constant has to start with the 0x and it has to be started with the 0. So we have to take care of the lexical errors then in that case. So let's separate the path and completely, if any other symbol will come, so we'll say, okay, after that, suppose the first octal, after 0, I am getting any other digit apart from this octal, so I'll simply indicate it as a lexical error. So we may or may not, but we have to handle the lexical errors in that case. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So let's look at its actual implementation, which we have seen last time also. So again, the same thing. So I have just kept this as a flag so that we can see what exactly we're doing as a part of implementation. So again, we'll include those switch cases. So we'll say from the state 3rd as a part of switch case 3. So we'll read the next character, and if it is a 0, then we'll redirect ourselves to the state 4 and we'll completely come out from that particular case here. Otherwise, we'll simply say that state equals to failure. Now, what do you mean by this failure? What is the indicator of this failure here? I need certain responses from your side. What should be done here?
So this indicates an error, right? It's not starting from C.
Right. So this indicates a lexical error. And one another thing I have to do as a part of this failure. What should be that thing? I have to take my pointer back to the initial state of my transition diagram, because that exactly I have to do. Because now I have introduced the failure by just reaching at this. Obviously here it is a start state, but somewhere I may be in some intermediate state. So I have to report a lexical error, and I have to also shift my forward pointer to the current to the start state. These two actions you have to remember. In the case 4, again, I will read the next character. If my character symbol is this lowercase letter x or this uppercase letter x, then I'll simply go to the state 5. Otherwise, I'll check if it is an octal digit, this character, then I'll move to the state 9. Else, if this is not the thing, then again, I'll report it as a lexical error and I'll shift my pointer to the state, let's say 3rd, considering this is as my initial state of my transition diagram for the underlying specifications. Otherwise, moving to the another cases, from the state 5, I'll again read the next character. I'll check whether it is a hexadecimal digit or not. Then if it is, then I'll go to the state 6. Otherwise, I'll simply call it as a failure. And simply I come out of this particular session here. And for the state 6, I'll read the next character. And if it is again a hexadecimal digit, then I'll remain at the same state. Fine. Or if it is any of these qualifiers, either this lowercase letter unsigned or uppercase unsigned or long, in both in formats, then I'll move to the final state, that is 8 here. Else, I'll move to the state 7 because I am not consuming any others. I am not consuming any symbol which is completely matching with any of these qualifiers here. And I'll simply come out here. And since now I already at the state 7, so I have to retract by one pointer. What does it mean? That whatever the extra character which I have consumed by coming at the state 7, I have to throw back to my input buffer. Fine, guys? And again, the same coding which we have to write. So this thing here. So at the case 8, so the same steps which we have done earlier as well. So now I'll compute the this particular value of the hexadecimal digit in integer format, that is integer constant, and I'll store it in token case here. My token, you know, this particular variable which we have described earlier of type token. And the value, so value is related to the lexeme. So what exactly is the value? So that I'll evaluate using this function, that is evaluate the hexadecimal number. And finally, I'll return my token. The same procedure which we have followed in case of the identification of the keywords and the identifiers. Similarly, with respect to this case 9, I'll read the next character. If it is again an octal digit, I'll remain at the same state. Otherwise, if it is any qualifier, then I'll go back to the, I'll switch forward to the state 10, or simply I get followed by the break procedure here. And finally, again, the same process. In case 10, I'll perform the retraction. And in case 11, I'll do the same thing with respect to the octal constant here. Fine, students. Any question, any comment up to this point?
Sir, in retract,
Yeah.
do we also take the pointer position to the previous character, or did we just save it and we did not move to the previous character?
So you have to just make sure, assuming that you people are using, let's say, twin buffer in your implementation. So there are two pointers. One is forward and one is the backward pointer. So your point is valid that you just need to shift the character back to the input stream. So obviously there is no need to shift the pointer, right? Because the pointer will always take the current character in your input buffer. But it is only true for the twin buffer. But as soon as if you are taking it very in an inefficient way, let's say get char and other things, then in that case, you have to also taken care of your pointers as well. You have to shift these pointers as well. Fine. Is it relevant? Whatever I have responded?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Fine. So now let's see few other things which we have to remember as a flag for this manual implementation of this lexical analyzer. See, till now, we have seen certain things which are actually contributing towards the manual implementation of the lexical analyzer here. So now I have termed this now slightly as generalized transition diagrams. So what exactly is it? Let's look at this particular with the help of an example. Recall, I mean, some time back, we have seen this specification corresponding to the unsigned numbers here, which includes the digit part, which includes the fractional part, and which also includes the exponent part. And the fractional and the exponent part were completely optional, right? So if I ask you right now, all of you, I'll suggest if you construct the transition diagram notation, one single transition diagram notation, which should capture all these underlying specifications. Just give it a try for, let's say, a single minute. And tell me what exactly is the number of states you are getting. And don't include the dead states and all. I mean, we are not supposed to do the same thing as we did in TOC. So just do the implementation with respect to the transition diagram and just tell me how many number of states you are getting. So guys, I need responses from your side. So I'm waiting for, let's say 1 minute. Any responses, guys? Any responses yet? You have to think as a lexical analyzer, right? Don't think with respect to just I have to recognize the language. You have to be very careful while taking the others entry. So guys, assuming some of you are doing this, so I'm waiting for your answers. Any answer, guys? One final announcement from my side. Any answers? All right, so let's look into it. So this is one manual implementation through the transition diagrams. Just verify it. So what we did, we start, let's say, with the start state 0, and we consume the digit, and we came to the state 1. That exactly we need to do as a part of first step. And after that, I can consume any number of digits. Fine. Now I have to ensure that after that, the fractional part will come. That is the dot. Fine. But it is quite possible that my, the lexical analyzer will simply returning me the integer, right? Without the fractional part, without the exponent part. So what we did here from state 1 to state 7, we have taken one transition of others here. Fine. Now, let me ask you the question. According to you, what is the definition of others here? Come on, guys. At least this much you can answer, because answer is written in front of you. And still, the irony is I am asking you the question. What is the definition of the others right now?
Sir, anything other than digit, dot, and capital E.
Fine. So anything apart from this dot and the E, so that will fulfill my purpose, right? That's absolutely correct. Now, if I'm assuming that I have to take that fractional part and I'll come back, I'll go from state 1 to state 2 here. And after that, again, there is a compulsion that it has to be followed by any number of digits. So that's why we have taken this digit part. And after that, any number of digits here. Fine. Now, again, if I go back to the state 1, it is quite possible that my unsigned number is like this. 23, and I'm simply ignoring the fractional part. This is something like this. So for that, we have again taken this, that this from state 1, this will again consume the exponent E, and it will go back to the state 4 here. Otherwise, when it has consumed the fractional part, it is quite possible that it will just accept this thing. So again, from third state to the 7, it has again consumed the other part here. Fine. And the definition of the other this time is any symbol apart from this exponent E. Fine. Similarly, from state 4, now I am consuming, since I have already consumed the exponent part, so I should go for either plus or negative sign. Fine. And this is how I am proceeding. So after that, I have to consume any number of digits. Fine. And this is the transition where I can skip the positive sign. Fine. So someone would have written like this, and someone would have written like this. Fine. So this is the thing for this. And after that, any other symbol, apart from these digits and all, so I'll say return the corresponding token and the lexeme here. Fine, guys. Any question up to this point? Any comment you want to create here?
Sir, we are assuming that there will be always some other character. Like there is also possibility of having epsilon after a digit. Say.
There is also a possibility of epsilon. So how will you represent the epsilon in your test case? Epsilon is a part of regular expression, not with respect to what we generally deal with the numbers, isn't it?
Yes, sir, but we can have nothing. For example, I can have an expression a is equal to 2, nothing after that.
Can you give me one example so that we can clarify?
So, sir, we can have an expression a is equal to 2 and nothing more after that.
A equals to 2.
Yes, sir.
So what do you need to tokenize here? To this part, right?
Yes, sir.
So this will get tokenized.
But how, sir? Like, we will not have any symbol for other to is and state.
So here, that's what you are also claiming the same thing, that we by default we are including the epsilon part, right? Because for indicating it is an epsilon, we do not need to mention such things. Am I making clear this thing? Because what I'm saying here, that if it is not anything, let it be, right? And I'll simply treat it as a part of epsilon here. Or if you still think that this is not something which I should say, so you should, your lexical analyzer must be very smart enough. Okay, I have read the digit. So there is another state which is simply returning this thing, which is completely, I need not to mention at this point of time. Return the corresponding token. But by default, it is assuming those epsilon also.
So maybe in the source code we can have something like end char, which says that okay,
yes,
the source code.
There are n number of flags you can use, but the thing here is, can the lexical analyzer handle this thing using the transition diagrams? So the answer is yes, right? So the answer is that okay, fine. So let me introduce one more state here, and I can also call it as a return this particular token as an integer. Making sense or not?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
So if it is possible that lexical analyzer can handle this through the manual implementation of transition diagram, we can handle this. If you are assuming that the epsilon will not come here. Fine. Any other thing, guys? Any comment, any suggestions?
So the definition of other must be different for all the three transitions, right? 1 to 7, 3 to 7.
So yeah, here it is different, but it is quite possible that in the recent transition diagram, it was same. So it depends on the specifications.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Like one guy has just asked me at the start of this lecture that how we should avoid this. So now we are coming closer to that. So I think everything is up to this point clear. So now we have given this name generalized, that we have designed one implementation which is capturing all these three different specifications with respect to the digits, fraction, and the exponent in a single transition diagram. Now my question to you people, can I create different transition diagrams for these three different specifications? At least yes or no on this? No, and so that means you did not understand my question. So my question is very simple. Can I create the transition diagrams separately for integers? Can I create the separate transition diagrams, let's say for exponent numbers? And can I create the separate transition diagrams for, let's say, decimal numbers, the fractional point numbers?
Yes,
Can
sir.
I? We can, right? And that's where we have to jump now. So the multiple transition diagrams for unsigned numbers. Let's look into this. So this is the first transition diagram in some sequence. Let's recall that in which we have seen earlier, that there must be a preferable sequence, which is only capturing the exponent numbers. Such numbers, 26 point, let's say 3, 4, e minus 7, such exponent power numbers. Only this part. Fine, you can clarify yourself. There is no others from here now. So the only other will come here. So any other character apart from this digit. Fine. So which will which will let the lexical analyzer to return the only corresponding token and the corresponding lexeme which I have read out. But again, the fractional part is optional and the exponent part is also optional. Fine, guys. So after digits, I can simply ignore the fraction part. I can go for straightforward exponent, and I can simply take this part again as at the same thing. Now the next transition diagram is only for the fractional numbers. Digit followed by any number of digits, dot, and again this thing, any single digit and any number of digits. And now whatever I'm getting is with respect to all the characters except the digit. And again, this will return the token and the corresponding lexeme. And lastly, corresponding to the underlying specification, I have one more transition diagram, which will say the digit followed by any number of digits, and again, this others here. And these guys will say whatever you have consumed extra, throw back to your input buffer, and I mean, that character should not be a part of that lexeme. What does exactly this means? So now here you can see the definitions of the others are not very much complicated. I mean, with respect to the earlier things. So here there are two options. I hope I answered your previous questions now. So now here comes two different scenarios. One is, I mean, the basic foundation is that we are implementing our lexical analyzer through the manual implementation of transition diagrams. So one way is that given some language specifications, you have constructed one single generalized transition diagram. Fine, by taking the paths, multiple paths from the different state. Sometimes even you can use the epsilon also. Recall we saw as epsilon and epsilon to capture different specifications corresponding to different accepting states. And one option is this, that you can, in your implementation, you can have series of different transition diagrams notations. Fine, in some order, well-defined order. So this is one option. And it is quite possible that based on the recent state of art, most of the time, people generally follow this multiple transition diagram implementation. Because you can see, as you yourself notice, the definition of the others become ambiguous sometimes because we have to deal with ambiguity at our source code level. Even here also, but at least we are getting somehow some same things to some extent. Number one. Number two, I mean, you can understand the complexity of the code with respect to the generalized transition diagram and with respect to these multiple transition diagrams. But here, we have to understand few important things also. That how these multiple transition diagrams needs to get traced. Fine. Because let's suppose I have implemented my lexical analyzer through the multiple transition diagrams notion here. And let's suppose I have to tokenize this 267 in my test case. So let's suppose the order which you have given in your implementation is for the exponent numbers and then for the fractional numbers, and lastly you have given the priority to the integers here. Now my question to you: how will you deal with these things now? How will you tokenize it? Because the priority order is moving like this. Come on, guys, give me certain responses. How will you tokenize this? Come on, guys, quickly. I have not asked you anything which is actually something rocket science. How will you tokenize this, considering these are the specifications written in the form of a transition diagrams?
So we can do sequentially. Check.
So if I do the sequentially, the first transition diagram will give me the what?
It will stop. I mean, we can't reach the final state.
It will return me a lexical error. So should I throw the lexical error to the syntax analyzer? The question, the answer is no. So how this is going to happen? Like you said, that the first transition diagram will say, okay, I have read 2 and 6, 7 from here, but hereafter I cannot consume this dot. So what should I do? I should not immediately throw the lexical error. I will record this particular output, let's say lexical error, in some buffer. And I'll say that let me trace some other transition diagrams, and in any of those transition diagrams in some proper sequence, if it is not giving me the lexical error, then I'll return that particular thing. So similarly, when I'm not able to consume this, what I did, like I told you earlier, so I'll say that there is one dead state which will say, okay, return this, whatever you have consumed, return this particular thing back to the input stream, and just retract your forward pointer to another start state of your next transition diagram, which you have created in your sequencer. So the lexical analyzer will start scanning from this again. Again, it is not able to consume this. So this will again throw back this extra character back to the input stream, and it will also, shift the forward pointer to the another start state of this particular. And likewise, here it will happen. So this others will go to the, and it will return this particular thing. And these lexical errors which we are getting from these two transition diagrams will simply get omitted here. Fine, guys, making sense what we
Sir, I
have
have a
just
question.
discussed? Yes.
Sir, we don't essentially need to go back to the start state, because if you notice, the 0 and 1 states of all the 3 diagrams are same. So we don't need to
So what exactly you are saying, that is the common prefix, right? So that is an
Yes.
implementation issue. You can optimize it. But considering that we do not have the common prefix, then this is the strategy, default strategy, which we have to follow. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So the thing here is that you have to create, like I said, few lecture sessions earlier, that there must be some priority order, right? Let's suppose in your language specification, the transition diagrams of identifiers are coming first and then keywords. So you will go step by step. You will trace all the transition diagrams, and whatever you are getting, then you will return. You will not immediately take the result. But my next question is, suppose you have 3 transition diagrams like just we have, and none of the transition diagram is not throwing the error. Assume like this. What should I do in that case? Each one of them is giving me certain token.
Take the first priority one.
Take the first priority, but what about the principle of maximal munch? Come on. So here the thing is that if I have even done the priority, but I have to consume the maximal string, right? So here, what I said here, okay, since I have consumed something, so let's suppose in the first I request you to assume, suppose the first transition is tokenizing like this, another transition diagram is tokenizing like this, third is tokenizing the 3 characters. So we have to always go for the maximal munch principle, the longest match. So the rule says here, there will be some priority order of the scanning of the transition diagrams, but the priority order is not going to make my tokenization easier. I will scan all those transition diagrams in some proper priority order, in some proper precedence order, and I'll take the longest match. Otherwise, I'll simply throw the lexical error if none of the transition diagram is giving me anything. Making sense, guys, up to this point, everything? With respect to the multiple transition diagrams.
Sir, in case if we have to throw a lexical error, so which lexical error will we throw? Because there are all the diagrams will have a little different lexical error.
Let's, like we discussed in the introductory sessions, lexical error would be treated as a lexical error. You have to generate the line number correspondingly what exactly has been done here. What has been tokenized, which has been wrong. Otherwise, it depends on the language specification, what set of lexical errors. Let me give you an example, like I gave you earlier also, that there is a restriction on the length of the identifier, which you're supposed to declare. So if you are crossing that limit, you just simply display that with that message. So it depends, it varies from, otherwise by default it is a lexical error because it has been tokenized in a wrong manner. So 2 has been tokenized in a wrong manner. So because I did not follow the principle of maximal match, so it is a lexical error because it hasn't been tokenized properly. The wrong tokens has been passed to the syntax analyzer, and syntax analyzer will say, oh, come on, this is an error. This should be recognized by you, not by me. Fine. So it varies. Fine.
Okay, sir.
So guys, let us summarize few things from this important notion here. So the process of the tokenization in the transition diagram. So the matching process should always start with some transition diagram, I mean, which you have considered any precedence order. And if failures occur in one transition diagram, retract the forward pointer to the start state of some other transition diagram and activate the next transition diagram, which I was saying to you earlier. And if failure occurs in all transition diagrams, then only throw the lexical error. Don't throw the immediate lexical error as we encountered earlier. Fine? Because it is quite possible that this match will happen through some other transition diagram. So the more complex is your transition diagram, consisting or capturing all the language specification in just one diagram, you can imagine the more complex would be the equivalent source code. And since each state will need to handle more decisions here, as you have seen the definition of the others and so on and so forth here, multiple transitions and so on and so forth. So I have to implement the lexical analyzer, but I have to make sure this should be very efficient implementation. Fine. And as per the recent literature, and if you will also calculate the timing with respect to the response, you will get the better response time in case of multiple transition diagrams. So complex transition diagrams may give rise to errors, not the lexical errors, it's your implementation errors. Fine. So if you want to, but if you say, okay, I just need to go for the single one. So this is that the different transition diagrams must be combined appropriately. So guys, here we need to focus appropriately. Like some of the questions arise earlier that can't I take this transition with respect to the octal constants and hexadecimal constants? So that we have to be very careful. Fine. So different transition diagrams must be combined appropriately to generate the implementation of your lexical analyzer. And merging the different transition diagrams is not so easy, right? I mean, you can imagine what sort of complicacy you have to observe, what sort of different decisions you have to do. So preferable is to trace different transition diagrams one after another and go for the, which I said here, longest match here. So recall, we said this is how one has to implement the principle of the maximal match here. That all transition diagrams must be tried and the longest match should be used here. This is the bottom line that one has to remember here. With respect to the different transition diagrams and one common generalized transition diagrams here. So again, the definition is not changed. So lexical analyzer has to give the specifications, has to give certain priority order, and has to give the longest match principle. Fine. So the last two things needs to be handled at the implementation level. Fine, guys. So guys, I'm stopping here. Now you can ask me questions. Yes, please.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, but if we're trying out all the transition diagram, aren't we like overlooking the fact that we're giving priority to some?
We are definitely overlooking certain things, but see, this is the way that your implementation can become efficient, right? Just you have already observed the ambiguities in the generalized transition diagrams. Suppose I have told you that there are 15 keywords in your language specification. So tell me, 15 keywords have 15 different transition diagrams? Like I told you, this is your one keyword, right? Else, if, so you will create different transition diagrams of else and so on, so forth, right? If for different. But Just imagine if you are going to concatenate all these transition diagrams in just one go. You have to be very careful when to throw the lexical error, when to do these multiple things. That becomes obviously very complicated. I mean, we are not denying that implementation through the common generalized transition diagram is not acceptable. It is acceptable, but obviously this will create so many implementation issues that you have to handle at the development level. This is the one thing. But on the other hand, if we have the multiple transition diagrams, so your point is relevant that we are doing unnecessary tracing, but that will also give the guarantee that we'll never come across any situation where we have to decide to take, I mean, which decision I should make here. So this is the point which generally motivates the developer to go for these multiple transition diagram implementation. Am I making clear this thing to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So guys, I'm stopping here. So any question you can, ask me right now.
Sir, you said that multiple transition diagram implementation takes less time.
Yes, it takes less time because I myself has as a part of C program. So it takes less time. You can even try on your terminal also as well.
No, sir, like in general, if I can create a correct common generalization transition diagram.
Okay.
So in that way, like there in generalization case, we will not need to do things repeatedly. So it should take less time than multiple transition diagrams.
It should take less time, but sometimes it is quite possible that you have to deal with the multiple situations. You may return something which you are not supposed to. So that you have to deal with at the implementation level for the generalized transition diagram. However, that is not true for the multiple transition diagrams because each transition diagram is giving you the unique token, right? And that is our goal, that a proper tokenization must be done.
Sir, in single generalized one, how do you ensure the maximal munch property?
So
Because
so in single transition diagram, we do not need to worry about the maximal munch principle because the others will fulfill that need here, right? So in single transition diagram, we do not need to worry because there is only one way to consume and the others will let us know that this is the word boundary. Fine?
okay.
Because there is only one unique way to get the appropriate token. So guys, before taking further questions, I want to announce that I have already incorporated few lexical analyzer practice problems, whatever we have discussed so far, based on some small specifications, some relevant specifications. So I suggest please go for it. And if you stuck somewhere, please discuss with me in the contact hour sessions. Yeah, any more doubts, guys?
Sir, are these exercises uploaded on Nalanda?
Yes, I have recently